The ending of Netflix's Scoop only reveals part of the story when it comes to the downfall of Prince Andrew, Rufus Sewell, following his disastrous Newsnight review. Based on the book Scoops, behind the scenes of the BBC's most shocking interviews by Sam McAllister, the new Netflix movie tells the story of how the Current Affairs program secured an exclusive sit-down with Prince Andrew to discuss his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. Told predominantly from the perspective of interview booker Sam McAllister, Billy Piper, Scoop depicts the various meetings between McAllister and Buckingham Palace in the lead-up to the recording. Scoop's impressive cast do a great job of embodying the key figures involved in securing the exclusive interview with Prince Andrew. By covering the lead-up, the recording, and the aftermath, Scoop reveals how Prince Andrew's hubris ultimately led to his downfall and removal from royal duties. 5 years after the interview aired, Prince Andrew is no longer a serving member of the royal family, with many of Andrew's privileges revoked by King Charles III, including access to the very rooms in Buckingham Palace where Scoop takes place. What happened to Prince Andrew after Scoop's ending? The Duke of York stepped down from public life for days after Newsnight aired. Rather than putting distance between Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, the interview had the opposite effect. In a 2023 documentary called Secrets of Prince Andrew, Emily Maitlis said, via Vanity Fair, that, whenever the BBC and the royals meet, someone always gets fired. I didn't expect it to be him. As depicted in Scoop's closing moments, the Duke of York announced that he was suspending his public duties for the foreseeable future on November 20, 2019, 4 days after the interview aired. 4 days after that, it was confirmed that the prince would step aside from all 230 of his patronages. Despite Prince Andrew's insistence that he would cooperate with the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking offenses, the Duke of York was accused of zero cooperation in early 2020. In August 2021, Reuters quoted a source that said Prince Andrew was a person of interest in the Epstein and Maxwell investigation. Earlier that same month, Virginia Giuffre, the teenager in the photograph with Andrew, filed a civil case against him. That case was eventually settled out of court in 2022, with Prince Andrew agreeing to pay a reported sum of $16.3 million to Giuffre and her charity, Speak Out, Act, Reclaim. How Newsnight's Prince Andrew interview became a success for BBC. The original broadcast was Newsnight's highest-rated program. In 2020, the BBC's head of news Fran Unsworth announced wide-reaching budget cuts to the corporation's news teams, and an estimated 450 job losses. For dramatic purposes, Scoop brings the threat to the BBC's news ahead to 2019, to hammer home the importance of good journalism. It means that Scoop can end with a stirring speech from Esme Wren, Romola Garai, about holding the powerful to account. While there's some creative license here, it's true that Newsnight's Prince Andrew interview was an enormous success for the BBC. Prince Andrew and the Epstein scandal, the Newsnight interview was watched by 1.7 million viewers when it broadcast on BBC Two on Saturday, November 16, 2019. These were record-breaking ratings for Newsnight, and it doesn't even begin to cover the global impact of the interview. As seen in Scoop, the interview went viral on social media, with Prince Andrew's bizarre claims about his inability to sweat, and his reference to the Pizza Express restaurant chain generating countless satirical memes. The scene where Sam sees the interview blown up onto the screens at Piccadilly Circus is pure invention, given that they're handed over to big brands for advertising. However, it's creative shorthand to get across how Prince Andrew's disastrous Newsnight interview went global. As well as being a ratings success, the Newsnight interview also won several prizes at the 2020 Royal Television Society Journalism Awards.